Crime on the desert road location, a deserted road near Las Vegas, Nevada. Date, July 4th, 2019, Independence Day. The crime discovery at 8:01 a.m. while driving on a deserted road outside Las Vegas. Truck drivers noticed thick smoke rising from a burning vehicle parked far from the main road. As they approached, they discovered that the vehicle was completely charred beyond recognition. But the real horror was inside. A burned body tied to the back seat with electric wires. The police were immediately notified. Upon arrival, forensic experts determined that this was no accident. It was a brutal murder. Initial investigation, since the vehicle was completely burned, there were no obvious documents or clues to identify the victim. However, forensic investigators managed to locate the vehicle identification number, VIN, on the car's frame. Quick database check revealed that the minibus belonged to Mark Stone, a businessman who owned a small fleet of vehicles rented out to various drivers. When questioned, Mark Stone claimed that he didn't personally manage the drivers. He left that responsibility to a station dispatcher. When asked who had been driving that minibus the night before, he hesitated but promised to check. Meanwhile, the autopsy report revealed that the victim had been stabbed multiple times, once in the heart and twice in the sides, before being burned, confirming that the fire wasn't the cause of death. The estimated time of death was between 2 and 3 a.m., about 5 hours before the fire was discovered. Identifying the victim. That evening, Christine Cooper, the wife of a local driver, arrived at the police station to report her husband Ethan Cooper missing. She said that the last time she saw him was around 11 p.m. when she visited the bus station. He gave her his phone, as its battery was dead, and said he would spend some time with friends before heading home. But he never returned. When forensic experts examined Ethan's photo, they noticed a distinctive scar on his face that matched a partially visible mark on the burned victim, confirming his identity. Prime suspects investigators soon discovered that Ethan had been involved in an altercation the previous evening with Jack Miller, one of the station dispatchers. The fight broke out after Jack harassed Christine when she visited the station with her mother. Though Jack later apologized publicly, witnesses recalled that he had been humiliated in front of his co-workers. When police investigated Jack and his brother Luke, they uncovered disturbing facts. The brothers were longtime methamphetamine addicts with criminal records filled with assaults and thefts. Additionally, their drug-using friends revealed that Jack and Luke had been absent from their usual gathering that night, which was unusual for them. The shocking confession: Jack and Luke Miller were brought in for questioning. From the moment they entered the interrogation room, they were visibly nervous. When detectives pressed them about their whereabouts that night, they broke down and confessed everything. Jack had felt insulted after the fight with Ethan, and though he pretended to make peace, he secretly plotted revenge. At midnight, Jack and Luke waited for Ethan at the station. When his shift ended, they invited him to hang out to make up for the earlier fight. Trusting them, Ethan agreed. But when they arrived at an abandoned warehouse nearby, Jack suddenly stabbed him twice, and then Luke delivered a fatal stab to his chest. After confirming he was dead, the brothers sat next to his lifeless body and continued using meth as if nothing had happened. Hours later, they stuffed Ethan's corpse into a large bag, loaded it into his own minibus, and drove it to the remote desert road. There, they doused the vehicle and body with gasoline and set them on fire, leaving before anyone could see them. Justice is served with overwhelming evidence. Jack and Luke Miller were charged with first-degree murder and desecration of a body. Due to the brutality of the crime, they were both sentenced to death. The end that night marked the tragic end of Ethan Cooper, but also the downfall of Jack and Luke Miller, whose lives were ruined by a mix of rage and drugs. Crime on the desert road